Street, Little Italy. Hangs with his pals, yeah, that's where he'll be. It's Vinny, a friend of mine. Stand-up guy from the Lower East Side. Take it from me, he's one of a kind. It's Vinny Valentine.
Who's better than you? Welcome to Tell It Like It Is, Vinny and Mariana. Mariana, my baby.
Hello, Vinny.
How are you, sweetheart?
How are you?
Everything's going great. And tonight, we have a hell of a host. This guy has been around for so many years.
In a long time.
Well, I said so many years, I didn't say how many. And he's very good at what he does. And I can't wait for him to go to work on, I guess he's going to go to work on me. You know, I might have to go home and tell my wife the bad news. I'm going to live.
Oh, no.
And well, listen, it doesn't matter. But anyway.
Either way.
Let me introduce you, Kreskin.
The Amazing
All right.
Kreskin.
You know, I got to tell you, both of you,
Yes.
as soon as I talked to them on the phone, I felt, first of all, this is not my ability to read minds to tell you this, would you not suspect that Vinny's Italian? Oh my God, talk about Italian, it redefines it. And you're from
Colombia.
But my grandparents, my grandparents, the Cantellos, were from Sicily. And my grandmother was a chef in Sicily.
She was a what?
She was a chef.
A chef.
She worked for
Okay.
royalty. So you can imagine every Sunday in New Jersey, when we came home from Mass, there were around 18 of us around the table, all this food. I mean, but my favorite dish, and I tell this to everybody,
Okay, I hope I like it.
is spaghetti and meat sauce.
Spaghetti and meat sauce?
You
Yes.
you have to have the sausage and the meatballs, both pork and
Yeah.
beef, you know. And you know my second favorite dish is?
What?
Spaghetti and meat sauce. I just love it. And you know it tastes better the second day.
Yeah.
It tastes much better. So when they've been gone for years, but I had many wonderful days of my life there. Those were the richest days.
Oh, yeah, it was so
I'm
beautiful
sure.
back then.
You know, I grew up in, they had their own.
First generation, second?
First.
Okay.
My grandfather was in construction. The house is still in Caldwell, New Jersey. It's a two-story house he built with his own hands. You don't hear things like that anymore.
Right.
And I want to tell you, rooms and what have you, I ended up with one room for myself because when I was building my career, I had a place to walk to from where I lived. I walked 10 minutes away and spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house. So this brings a lot of memories back.
I'm
You have no idea. I was when I was in Rome. Remember the short Pope John years ago,
Oh, yeah,
the
sure,
famous
sure.
Pope. Well, I was performing in Rome, and they asked me to see him privately, and he knew all these things about me. And I said, Your Excellency, you know what I do for a living. And he spoke English. He said, you do read minds? And I said, yes. He said, not when we're in confession. That was that Pope. He had a great sense of humor.
He sure did. Don't read he said, don't read his.
Well, my favorite story, one of the two heroes of my life was a man that only older folks would remember. His name was Bishop Sheen, Bishop Fulton J. Sheen. He was on television for years, and he was on every Tuesday for half an hour. He didn't just preach religion, he preached the good life. I had atheist friends who loved him. And he found out, and I got to know him well, he found out that my family, when I was a young boy, thought I was going to become a priest because I had a priest in my family. They thought I was going to become a priest. So when Bishop Sheen...
They never thought that about me, though.
No,
I'm sure they didn't.
You know what they thought about you? That's the last thing you would ever do is become a priest.
You're
Pretty
right.
much.
So anyway, sometimes Bishop Sheen was a great speaker. We would be at an event, a banquet, and he'd be speaking, I'd be performing later on. And he would say to the audience, you know, they thought that the Amazing Kreskin was going to become a priest. He says, imagine this. It's Saturday night. It's Johnny's first Holy Communion. He's in church. He's scared about going to confession. He goes inside. The door closes. And Father Kreskin opens the panel and says, my son, tell me your sins. And Bishop Sheen says, Johnny says, Father, I lied to my mother 8 times. And he says, Father Kreskin says, you're lying. It was 10 times and you know it. So I have many stories.
Is that a joke?
Yes!
Yes! Oh,
my
jeez.
I want to tell you folks, one thing I will not do. And since this is being recorded, it can't be erased. God forbid on this show I read his thoughts. Oh my goodness.
Luckily, I'm in the middle.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
So it doesn't happen.
About being Catholic, and when I walk in church, for some reason, the statues look like they're walking out.
The statues look, or either turn their head the other way, right?
Well, actually, I haven't been to church in years, but I went to church.
Vinny!
Well, I know, but I do pray a lot.
I know.
But I went to church, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, and it was so good to be in there, because I haven't been in there in years. And there was a very good reason why I went, but we won't get into that. But anyway, and I liked it. And the priest, when he see me at the end, saying goodbye to everybody on the way out, and he goes, "I know you from somewhere." Even the priest.
Obviously, Vinny, you would have to agree with me. The priest had a very, very good memory. Listen, can I mention my book?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and this
please,
is
go right
your
in.
19th book,
This is my 19th book.
Conversations with Kreskin.
It has to do, I finally unloaded and decided to talk about my career and how a lot of things happened in my career. And in the beginning, in the middle of the book, your kids would know this. This gentleman is a famous cartoonist. He writes for cartoons. His name is Joe St. Pierre, and he did a cartoon on the first incident in my life that changed my life.
Oh, wow.
The thing that I cannot explain to this day, it's a cartoon in here. I'll tell you when it happened. It happened when I was in 3rd grade, and it was raining outside. So Miss Galloway, our teacher, said, Miss Curtis, our teacher, said, I'm not going to send you outside. I'm going to teach you a game. So she sent a girl into the hallway outside the class. Her name was Jane Hamilton. I just talked to her 4 months ago.
What did he do outside with her in the hallway?
She sent Jane out and said, stay there.
The teacher sent Jane outside the classroom.
To wait. So she
To wait.
Okay.
While she was in the hallway, she had us take an object and hide it somewhere in the entire classroom. It was a paper folder. We hid in someone's desk.
Yeah.
Now Jane comes into the classroom. We didn't tell her anything. And she says, Jane, as you walk around, when you get near where the class hit it, they'll say you're getting warm. When you're not near it, you're getting cold. When you're real close, you're getting hot. It was a game of hot and cold.
Right.
So she walked around, and finally, really hot, and she suspected the desk had reached inside. I was upset because I didn't get a chance to play. So I went home that day after school, and my brother was home, my mother was shopping, my father was working. Let's go over to Grandma and Grandpa's house. We walked over. I said, they rented the downstairs. That's how they made ends meet. I said, Joey, take this penny. Go upstairs. Grandma's up there by herself. Hide the penny anywhere upstairs. He comes out of the door and he calls me and says, I'm ready. And I walked up the steps. I walk in the kitchen. Grandma, who did not speak English, did not know what was going on. She was sitting at a big kitchen table. I slowly walked through the kitchen.
Was this a hot and cold thing?
No, they didn't. My brother, I forgot to tell my brother to speak to me. He didn't talk to me. He didn't say anything. I walked into my grandmother's bed, my uncle's bedroom. He was at work. And I climbed up on a stool and reached behind a curtain rod and felt the penny. And then it dawned on me, I forgot to tell my brother to talk to me. He never spoke a word. He never said anything. My grandmother, being Italian, I think she must have wondered if I had the evil eye.
And you're going to work on me later.
Well, you know.
So this was the first instance when you
Well,
noticed
Vinny-
that you had these abilities.
Vinny, in all my performances today,
Yeah.
and there's chapters about this, let me tell you what I've done all over the world. And I've done, the airline industry estimates as of last year, I have flown over 3 million miles.
Can you believe
Over
that?
3 million.
3 million.
I performed everywhere. Saudi Arabia, you can name places all
You
over the world.
mentioned to me about 364 appearances
That
a
was
year.
2 years
Is this
ago.
all about?
But anyway, yeah, about what I do with my audiences.
Yes.
So in
I
all
can't
my,
wait for you to
in
do
all,
me.
in all my shows, there's a certain point, and it could be a show for a concert, it could be a show for a college, it could be a private executive show. I get a committee from the audience whom I've never met, 6 people. I give them my check.
You what?
My check.
Check.
My fee.
Are you going to give me a check while we're doing the show?
I give them my fee, and 2 of the committee take me out of the auditorium. They take me out. At Carnegie Hall, a WOR man who was an announcer then took me outside the building while they guarded me. The committee hides my check anywhere in the theater, the banquet hall, or at the in Oregon. It was an audience of 20,000 people outdoors. They hid it anywhere.
In Carnegie Hall?
But this was Carnegie Hall when
Okay.
I'm telling you now.
So they hid the check.
Now they call me back in. No one speaks to me. I ask no questions. There's no questions.
Okay.
I simply tell the committee, think of what you've done. Don't say anything. I led the committee down the aisle at Carnegie Hall, the orchestra area. We went to the back, and there was a window there, and I got very nervous. I said, I don't touch things like this. They said nothing. I opened the door of the window on the wall. It was the fire hose that's used, and you don't touch things like that. I pulled out 20 feet of hose, and the check was at the end. Because the agreement is...
You're going to work on me.
No, the agreement is, if I don't find my check, I don't get paid.
And you found it on a hose.
I failed 9 times.
So you had to pull a
You
hose to
failed
find your
9
check.
times.
I have failed 9 times in New
Sometimes I got to pull a hose to
Well-
find a check.
In New Zealand. One of the places I failed was New Zealand. I lost in one night in New Zealand at a Coliseum. I lost and forfeited 20 in the whole night. It was about I was 20,000 people, but I lost that night and I forfeited $51,000. That's the amount of money I returned.
Right.
So I've done this all. I tell you crazy things. University of Illinois was a gymnasium, and it's about 10,000 people because some are parents. It's a family weekend. I walk through the audience and I come up to a man who's sitting in a chair because on the carp of the basketball court they had chairs. I had him stand up. I looked at him and I said, I've never asked anybody this in my life. Would you open your mouth? Well, there was no check. I felt like a jerk. There was no check. I looked, I said, I'm sorry, sir. And I walked about 10 feet away, and something in my mind made me come back to him. I said, sir, if I embarrass you, would you just sit down? I apologize. Would you open your mouth again? He did. I said, does this have to do with the roof of your mouth? Vinny, he opened his mouth, took out his upper plates, and handed me my check. This is what I do for a living. All
There's
over the
no
world.
place
You're
else
the
you can
Amazing
put that thing.
Kreskin.
But all over the world. You know, one drama, one movie critic
He
in.
put a check underneath his
That's where they hid it.
Yeah, that's where they
hid the
hid
check
it.
so that I wouldn't find it.
Wow.
You know, you remember the what was the show, The Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous?
Yes, yeah.
Who started that show? Robin Leach.
Yeah.
He'll tell you this story. I've got a copy of it just sent me. Years ago when it was on, now they're going to start the show again, but years ago when it was on, he came to my house in New Jersey. When it was all finished, I said, Robin, I got something special for your show. He says, what? I said, you get the police to bring me from here to New York City, and you hide anywhere in the city of New York, and I will attempt to find you. He looked at me and said, you're out of your damn mind.
Anywhere within
Anywhere.
the city of New York.
So anyway, he said, all right, Kreskin, if you want to do it, we'll do it, but if you fail, we will not show it. I said, Robin, I built my life on my integrity.
I want to know. I just want to know something. You're scaring me. Go ahead.
No, I said, Robin, I built my life on my own integrity. This is not a trickery act. If I fail, you show it. There was a restaurant called the Tavern on the Green.
Very well.
They drove me from my house to New York City, and I got out of the car, and there were 12 or 14 police cars, and I got out of the car, and they had a limousine there, and a lady came over to me and said, they assigned me to be your subject. It was Cindy Adams, who writes for the New York Post.
No, very
I
well.
had never met her before. No. She was told only this: you say hello to him, but never speak to him the entire time. We got in the car. Cindy wrote about this a couple of years ago. She sat in the back seat. I sat here. She concentrated, and I only talked to the driver. He's driving around New York, and I'm trying to tell him I'm going to find Robin Leach. We stop in front of this beat-up, crap-like building. I said, let's get out here. We walk in. The cameras are following me. I go to the elevator. I said, damn it, and I slammed my fist against the door, and I walked out. And Cindy said, we know what's the matter with him. I come back in. As I saw the building, I said, wait a minute. This is only 8 stories. I see it's a higher building. Let's get in the elevator. We went up to the 8th floor, got up, and roamed through the hallway and found a hidden elevator and went to the top floor. The door opened. It was a sports club, but it was closed. It was early morning. We walked endlessly through and came to this door and opened it. It was a bar. But the people were on the floor cleaning the bar. They're washing because it was early. I walked through the bar, and a man was draped over the table. And I went up to him and I said, this ends here. And he slowly sat up and he said, and Robin Leach said, Kreskin, you found me. Let's break out the champagne. I found him in 46 minutes.
You better do Mariana instead of me.
But that's my life. That's what I do for a living.
Wow.
Yeah.
And not only that,
I love my work.
You were telling me that you've been able to predict 2 Super Bowls.
Super Bowls, yeah. I
So if
predicted.
I hit something, you would find it.
If you concentrate, someday in the future, we'll get a television crew together, and we'll do this as a special event, because this is not some trickery. I mean, when I say...
And nothing is planned.
No. Hey, listen, I'm going to do... Can we have time to do something right now?
Absolutely. You want to do it now?
Can we take these off the table?
Yes.
Where do you want?
I know, Vinny,
I
very
want them
intrigued
on
by
the
all
floor.
this.
We don't want to knock them
on
over.
the floor.
No, I don't want them. We don't want them. I want the table clear.
Just put it on the
okay.
floor, Vinny.
Wait
Or
a
give
minute.
it to me and I'll put it behind
All right,
you.
wait a minute. Put him on the floor.
Don't let
Here.
it spit, Vinny. Don't let it
Wait,
spit.
I want one little sip before.
All right.
He wants to be sure he's
There
hydrated
you
before
go.
this happens.
Vinny, I asked your people to give me some items. Let's put them in a straight line across the table. Put them in a straight line, one next to the other. They're all different items. I mean, can we see that they're all different?
All right.
And
Hopefully we can get a-
look at how many are here. I think this is very,
Well,
very...
you actually a bunch
more
of
the, I
items.
said the more the better.
You got them there? Whose
more
phone
the
is
better.
that? Is that yours or mine?
That's mine.
Key.
Yes.
We got one set of keys. Let's get rid of... I want everything different.
Okay.
Let's...
Yeah, just put those away.
who's the-
I'll hold on.
Vinny, let's count. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 items.
13.
Put one more item to give it a nice even number.
Put one
anything,
more.
anything that's different that's not here.
Well, I don't
Anything.
want to put... Do you
Gotta-
have anything in your
gotta-
pocket?
Right up here.
Oh,
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, just a piece of...
We're going to get all this stuff back.
yeah, of course you will.
Oh, you're pulling a heist.
Now, Vinny,
Go ahead.
and I have a note here.
Okay.
I wrote this note this morning, 9:30. It was exactly 9. Let me leave this here. I'm going to come back and sit down. Just leave that there, out of the way here. Just leave it there. Stay there, Vinny.
Okay.
You both stay there.
Do what?
Just stay where you
So
are.
we're staying here.
Just
you
stay
want
where
me
you
to
are,
do?
Vinny.
Nothing,
Just stay.
nothing.
And just listen to me. Just stay where you are.
Okay.
Because, Vinny, I'm not even joking. You're going to listen to my thoughts. Just stay right there. Let me go over here.
Okay.
Now, Vinny,
Hello.
here's what I want you to do. We got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's divide it in half. 7 on one side, 7 on the other. Count.
It's 2, 4, 6, 7. It's 7 over
And
here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep them all separate so they're separate apart.
All separate. Okay, here we go.
Now this is gonna sound crazy, Vinny, because
Okay.
you, not I, put your hand in the middle between them.
Uh-huh.
Listen to me. You are going to decide which of them to sweep away. Either these or those, you're just going to sweep away and push over there. You decide which ones.
Okay, whose wallet is this?
Doesn't matter. Which ones do you want to push away? On your those there or all these here? You decide.
Okay, we'll take this side.
Push them up here then. Push them all up here.
You?
Yeah. You sure you did that now? By the way, I'm going to ask you, and you don't know what I wrote down. Just take the note out. Don't open it yet. Just hold it right. Don't open it. Now, Vinny, look at we got here a number of items here. Look at this. We got even keys. I thought there were duplicates. There's not duplicates there. Vinny, would you? Yeah. Would you just tap one of the items, please? Just tap one. Tap one item. Just tap one item, and just tap one. And when you tap it, and with your other hand, tap another. Tap another with your other hand.
Tap another one?
With your other hand. With your other hand.
With the other hand.
Please.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let's. What are the two you tapped? I don't want to. What are the two?
The keys and the watch.
Put your hand on both of them so I know. All right. And by the way, he has made these choices. Vinny, we got this. We got this. We got this. Hand me one item. Just hand me one of those two items. Just hand me one.
Okay.
This is fast. You can put it aside. You put it aside.
Put the keys over there.
I want to tell you something. I did this once with 32 items crossed across the table, and I didn't tell you what to get rid of. You pushed those others aside.
Correct.
No.
You left it with these.
Yeah.
This is the only thing you handed me tonight was this watch. I want you to open that piece of paper. Just open that piece. No, you open it.
Oh,
No, you open it. Read out loud so Vinny can hear you what it says.
I have no doubt it will be the watch.
That's exactly.
Right up.
That is
That's exactly.
unreal.
And there could have been
This
50
show has
items.
to get this guy out of here. How much?
Your mind responded.
Oh,
you
man.
knew unconsciously. You swept what I was willing you to do. Every motion you made, you responded to, and Vinny, we did not prearrange anything.
No, we didn't.
You did
We
not
never-
know I wrote that down.
No.
You're
How
right.
fast- You see how the mind works, how fascinating it can be.
Could you tell me what I'm thinking?
I want to tell you.
Not what Mariana says. She'll slap me.
You know. I have to tell you. There's a gal. She's going to be doing some appearances here soon. Carol Burnett, whom we remember through the years.
Sure.
Years ago, I was sitting on an old show called the Mike Douglas Show.
I remember that one.
And I did 118 shows with Mike, more than any guest in history. And he said, I said, I told you folks to call a celebrity somewhere in the world. He says, okay, we're not telling you who. So I had the phone here. There was no camera then where they would just called. And as soon as we heard the voice, we know it was Carol Burnett. I said, Carol, I can't see you. Would you concentrate on something in the room you're in? She did. And I wrote something down on a big chalkboard. I said, what are you looking at? She says, well, I'm in my agent's office. We didn't want to tell you this. I'm in Hollywood. I'm looking out the window. I'm looking at a tree. And my face went down like this. And I got to tell both of you, I said, I have failed. And Mike said, what did you write down? I said, you're not going to, I didn't write it. I wrote down a bronze statue. And remember the way she used to scream, her scream?
Yeah, sure.
Screamed out of nowhere. And Mike said, what's the matter? She says, you're not going to believe this. I'm sitting in my agent's office, and while I'm talking to Kreskin, I'm holding a bronze statue that was on his table. So I got her thoughts that were really in her mind rather than what she was seeing. So the mind's a fascinating thing, Vinny. And listen, I hope you'll invite me back again sometime.
You are.
Well, you're not done with me. Are you done with me?
No. Can I tell you how my first break in my career in
Your
television?
first TV
Correct.
appearance, yes.
True story. Can I?
You're going to pull out another piece
No,
of paper?
no.
Hold on.
Can I stand if I have to do?
Yes.
There was a man years ago that was the greatest wit I ever knew in my life. His name was Steve Allen. He's been forgotten today.
He's down. Yeah, I remember him.
He had
Another
the-
talk show.
He had the
right?
Tonight
Yeah.
Show before Carson. And he left the Tonight Show. Jack Parr took over. And he went to LA and he had a late night show, which all us college students watched. Because he did crazy things. He was in a bathtub. His mother was a clown in vaudeville. So he hears about me. Never heard of me. I wasn't known. I was performing in New Jersey, New York. He flies me out there and he says, you know, everybody's interested in ESP. telepathy. This young man has a gift. Would you welcome Kreskin? I did not have the word amazing. Johnny gave me that years later. So I did not meet Steve, and I'm walking out towards Steve Allen, and you know how all the hosts stand on a dais, they're elevated?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the audience. And the lights are bright. In the 1960s, they were bright. And I come closer to Steve Allen, and I'm not seeing that he's about 6'4". As we're about to shake hands, I trip over the dais, flip right over, and fall flat on my face on national TV. That was my big break. And my family, by the way, says that's the highlight of my career. Wait a minute. So a man happened to be looking in that night. Do we have a moment?
We have
How long do we have?
a couple minutes.
All
2
right.
minutes.
A man was watching that night. A man I never met. A man's name was Johnny Carson. He saw the incident, and 7 weeks later created on his show Karnak, who fell over the desk.
You are
That
king.
guy with the turban was me
Yes.
all those years.
Oh my goodness.
So the last show I did with Johnny, I said, Johnny, you never let me forget my first break. He says, oh, the mighty Karnak Kreskin, no, we'll never live it down. That was where that came from.
Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Kreskin,
Now you want to know if you can come back in? Sure.
Of
Sure,
course.
come back.
We should have had an hour show for Kreskin.
Be the
Please.
good, you know what I have to say this? I would like to come back, be the good Lord willing.
Sure.
And that's the way it has to
Really
be.
quickly, can you mention a little bit about the pilot that you're currently
Oh,
shooting?
I'm so exciting about
Yes.
this. Tomorrow,
At Indiana,
I
yes.
leave here tomorrow. I'm going to tell you something, both of you. I'm very proud of this. I am shooting a pilot. I'm hosting at the Indiana Military Museum, which is filled with thousands, a block long, of mementos and items that were used in all our wars, from the Civil War to the First, Second, Third World War, I mean the World War and what have you. There are tanks, and I'm going to host this, and we're looking to make it a special series because our servicemen cannot
That
be
is the end
forgotten.
of the
No,
show.
absolutely not.
Mr. Christian, the
See you,
best.
Gare.
The best.
You are amazing.
All right.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, sir.
Thank
It
you
was
so
such an
much.
honor to have you on
Thank
this
you,
show.
thank you, thank you.
And we'll see each other again, Vinny. Isn't that interesting how you
You know she's at your pop.
Elizabeth Street, Little Italy. Hangs with his pals, yeah, that's where he'll be. It's Vinny, a friend of mine. Stand-up guy from the Lower East Side. Take it from me, he's one of a kind. It's Vinny Valentine.